Brandon, what are your thoughts on how the All-Star race played out? We're seeing some mixed reactions from the fan base, I think, this afternoon.
Yeah, and rightfully so. It was a brutal domination there from Kyle Larson from start to finish. And you can even look at the truck race, which we're going to talk about later. It was, for the most part, really dominated by Larson as well, if you think about it. But had some stage wins in there and really took home the win all-star race long. We had kind of went back to the roots with even the format, and people were loving that. I was loving that too. 100 laps, caution break, 100 laps, checkered. And so we got what North Wilkesboro was going to give us, and that is for the most part, for the Cup cars anyway, it seemed to be a one-group racetrack where, you can, if you, and Larson, the most surprising thing is he worked his way from the back all the way to the front, and he, I think he was quoted as saying something along the lines of, if he had started at the front, he may have been able to lap the field just like Jeff Bodine. So I definitely believe that. And this is not how I expected the All-Star race to play out at all. If looking at my own personal opinion, I really thought we were going to have some sort of, overtime, double overtime, the things that we're talking about all the time on here, Ben, and really thought there was going to be, it's probably what NASCAR was wanting too, some sort of drama at the end, some sort of bump and run, and drivers getting out with their gloves off, ready to go, and have some sort of magical moment for the All-Star race. Of course, that's the probably the pie in the sky dream, but we got something completely different. It really was more of a throwback back to NASCAR's roots of someone going out and just punishing the field for the whole race, and that's what we got on Sunday night.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I just get so frustrated with race fans sometimes. This was such a great weekend. This was the first time in a very long time that I was genuinely so excited for a NASCAR Cup Series event. I know I've had some issues with the direction that NASCAR's product has been taking in the last several years, but this has just been an unbelievable week. And I know that the race was not a barn burner, but there are some days where the best driver and the best car will go out and put on a clinic. And that's what happened. I mean, you want to talk about a throwback to when somebody lapped the field or won by, however much of a margin it is. I mean, it just felt so refreshing to me, regardless of the fact that there wasn't a lot of on-track passing, regardless of the fact that the short track package obviously needs a lot of help. That's not on North Wilkesboro. That's on the next-gen car, and that's a problem that has been known for a long time now, really, I think ever since the Martinsville night race last year. And I think holding this race, and I understand why they held it at night for prime time and the ratings and all that. I think if the race had been held in a day, I think we might have seen a better product there as well. But
yeah,
it drives me crazy. I think the fans maybe don't know what they want necessarily. I mean, the fact that people are saying, "Oh, I can see why this track was left to rot and dead in the middle of nowhere," and this justifies all the people saying we shouldn't have brought it back. Like, this was not a North Wilkesboro problem. This was a problem with the next-gen car. I know we're going to get into tire strategy here in just a moment, but people, and Brock Beard said this as well. I thought it was very on point on his post-race stream last night. People sometimes say we complain too much. We lament the fact that things aren't the way they used to be. Not a fan of the gimmicks like stage racing and overtime. Not a fan of how we crown our champions with this playoff system. And people tell us, if you don't like it, then just you can leave. You can not come back. This is how we do it now. You're being too negative. And then we get a race like last night in an unbelievable atmosphere and unbelievable weekend, like I was saying. And they're the ones that are saying that, this was a complete waste of time and we should leave it to rot for the next 27 years again. And it's just, it's mind-boggling to me that, the fans can somehow try to be on both sides of that equation and seem to get away with it.
I don't know. Like this kind of made me realize that if the fans really did have their way, we would go from traditional racing like this to stage racing, and then back to traditional, and then back to stage racing. People are not ever really going to find a happy medium if you just listen to the common voice that's the loudest and screaming on Twitter. I mean, this was a great return to the roots, and I think it really, I hopefully this will show someone at NASCAR that this kind of format is okay to go with in the future. And we saw some working with this with the road courses so far this year that maybe it might be okay to lighten up on the stages a little bit. And yeah, you certainly can't blame the domination on the track. It's the car at this point. But I also do think there is a little bit on the track side, maybe for not being repaved. I did see Denny Hamlin talking on his Actions Detrimental podcast on Dirty Mo a little bit about just his side of this opinion was just it's time to just repave it. If you're going to bring the Cup cars back and you want a good show, it needs to be repaved. I mean, even though that the history of the surface being there from the 80s, you're from his driver perspective, you're not going to get a good product unless you do something with the surface.
Yeah, and we'll have that discussion here a little bit later as well. But I will tell you this, because again, somebody else in Brock's live chat last night was saying that the fans that are anti-stage racing, they've got nothing to argue now. This race proved why we need stages. And I'm thinking to myself, I will take what we saw last night. I wish we didn't have the halfway break. I wish we could have seen Kyle Larson try to lap the field. I mean, when somebody's putting on a clinic, why not just keep the race as clean as possible if we can? And we were able to. There wasn't a whole lot of on-track incidents, in the Cup Series part of the weekend. The same can't be said for the truck race, but I think that's par for the course from a 2 Series where they are right now. Jeff Gluck sent this tweet out as well that it was so refreshing to watch a Cup Series race, and particularly an All-Star race, with minimal gimmicks, if any. I guess you still had the halfway break there at the end, but I mean, it was so refreshing to sit back as a fan and think to yourself, you know what? This isn't a barn burner. There's not too much action going on, but you are seeing a true long, drawn-out race play out naturally, and that is something we have not seen in a very long time. And when we do see it, it's, few and far between these days, especially in this era of stage racing.
I did experience that watching this. It was just, you took a moment, just a race, dare I say it, watching a race, not a constructed ending. It was organic.
Absolutely. And the weekend still unequivocally a massive success, I think, a massive win for everybody involved in the sport.